In this volcano, there's a lake of burning hot magma that is just waiting to erupt. But what happens if something falls into it? Well, if you stick around until the end of the video, we will find out. Welcome back, everybody. It's me. You might remember me from my other channel, but for those who don't know, I have recently started this new channel so I can share my love for science with all of you. And today, we are going deep inside a volcano. So make sure to subscribe for more amazing science videos. This is one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the world, and right now, it is calmly sleeping. That means its last eruption was a while ago. There are millions of volcanoes on our planet, but they aren't always active. This is why we call them dormant. When a volcano is quiet for 10 years, scientists consider it dormant. However, some volcanoes erupt once every 100 or even thousands of years. So this means that the experts sometimes have to wait a long time before they can observe their eruptions up close. This is also the case for this volcano. Its last eruption happened almost 400 years ago. But what makes this volcano very special is that it has a lake filled with magma deep inside of it. Now you might ask, what is magma? To understand what happens when something falls into this lake, we first need to understand what magma actually is. Magma is simply molten rock found beneath the Earth's surface. It's incredibly hot and it's under high pressure. This is why it doesn't spill out of the volcano, but when the pressure is suddenly released, the magma rises to the surface, and that is what we call lava. But how does magma form? Well, deep inside the Earth, temperatures can reach over 5,000 degrees Celsius. And at these high temperatures, rocks start to melt. We call this molten mixture magma. It then slowly makes its way to the surface through cracks in the crust. Once it reaches a chamber close to the surface, the magma starts to cool down. When the magma cools, the minerals crystallize and solidify. And the further away from the heat source they are, the larger the crystals become. Eventually, the magma becomes so viscous that it can no longer flow. Instead, it pushes the rock layers above it upwards. The rock layers bulge until they can't take the pressure anymore. They crack and the magma spills out of the volcano. That's how an eruption happens. But let's get back to our magma lake. What would happen if we dropped something into it? For example, let's drop a basketball into the lake. At first, the basketball would sink in the same way it would in water. But after a few seconds, the basketball would start to melt. Then it would lose its shape and eventually become part of the lake. But what would happen if we dropped something bigger in there, like a car? If we were to drop a car into the molten lava, it would initially sink. But after a few seconds, it would start to melt. Now, depending on the composition of the car, different parts would melt at different rates. The softer materials would melt quickly, while the metals would resist a bit more. As the car continues to sink deeper into the magma, the pressure and temperature would increase. This would cause the remaining parts of the car to melt even faster. Eventually, the entire car would be completely melted, and it would become part of the lava flow. But what if we made a small hole in the surface of the magma lake? If we punched a hole through the top of the magma lake, we would release some of the pressure that keeps the lava from spilling out of the volcano. Now, depending on the depth of the hole, the lava could either slowly bubble out or erupt violently. You see, deep inside the Earth, the pressure is incredibly high. This is because there is a lot of rock and soil above it. This weight creates a lot of pressure that keeps the magma in place. If we were to punch a hole in the top of the magma lake, we would release some of this pressure. If the hole isn't too big, the lava will slowly bubble out until the pressure is equalized. However, if we made a big hole in the surface of the magma lake, the lava could erupt violently. You see, when the pressure is suddenly released, the lava has nowhere to go but out of the volcano. In this case, the eruption could be very explosive and dangerous. But what if we did something similar in a real volcano? Would it erupt? Well, not likely. You see, volcanoes have very thick walls, so even if we managed to dig a hole through the wall, it would only release a small amount of pressure. The lava wouldn't have anywhere to go, so it wouldn't erupt. However, it might change the shape of the volcano, or it could cause an earthquake. But if we managed to drill deep enough to reach the magma chamber, things would get a little bit tricky. You see, the magma chamber is the area where the magma is stored before it erupts. If we were to drill into the magma chamber, we would release a lot of pressure. This could cause the magma to erupt and the volcano to become active again. So what if we drop something heavy like a meteorite into the magma lake? A meteorite is essentially a rock from space that has landed on Earth. They can be very large and they often have a high iron content. Now, dropping a meteorite into a magma lake is very unlikely to happen. But for the sake of fun, let's pretend that it did happen. If a meteorite were to fall into a magma lake, it would initially sink. As it sank deeper into the magma, The intense heat would cause the iron in the meteorite to start melting. The outer layer of the meteorite would melt first, and then the hot magma would start to solidify on the surface. This would create a crust around the meteorite that would eventually become part of the lava flow. The inner part of the meteorite would still be hot, but it would be surrounded by solid rock. It would slowly cool down until it reached the temperature of the magma lake. At this point, the meteorite would essentially be part of the magma lake. If the meteorite is large enough, it could also cause an eruption. The impact of the meteorite with the magma lake would release a lot of energy. This would cause the magma to expand and push its way out of the volcano. The size of the eruption would depend on the size of the meteorite. A small meteorite would cause a small eruption, while a large one could cause a huge explosion. Now, if you think that what we just talked about is crazy, it actually happened in real life a long time ago. The island of Krakatoa used to be a small volcanic island in Indonesia, but in 2018 it disappeared. Instead, a new island appeared in its place. And if you want to know what caused it, stay tuned for our next video. And with that said, it's time for us to wrap up this video. Before we go, I want to thank all of our supporters. We couldn't make these videos without your support, so thank you. Also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave us a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And finally, if you want to learn more about our amazing planet, make sure to check out the link in the description. I hope you have learned something new, and I'll see you in the next video.